After former Fox host Gretchen Carlson filed a sexual harassment lawsuit against Fox CEO Roger Ailes, half a dozen women decided to come out and speak with New York Magazine's Gabriel Sherman about their experiences with the head of Fox News. Now, here's some of their accounts. Now, before I get into these accounts, I want to note that these happened before Ailes went to Fox News. And I think that's important. This is back before he had, back before he was CEO of Fox News, and it really kind of tells you, if these accounts are true, about who Roger Ailes really is. So let's go to the first one now. As I said, this is from the New York Magazine. In 1989, Kelly Boyle was working in communications for the Republican National Committee. She jumped at the chance to meet Roger Ailes, whom she described as initially being very charming. After dinner one night, he offered to drive her to her friend's house. That's when she says, so when we get in the car, that's when he said, you know, if you want to play with the big boys, you have to lay with the big boys. I was so taken aback, I said, gosh, I didn't know that. How would that work? Now, why would she say that? Well, she says that she was trying to kill time because she didn't know if he was going to attack her or not. I was just talking until I could get out of the car. He said, quote, that's the way it works. And he started naming other women he's had. He said that's how all these men in media and politics works. Everyone's got their friend. After denying his offer to give him a blowjob, Boyle heard that, quote, word went out that she wasn't to be hired. That's disastrous. Now, this one's a lot earlier. This is from the late 1960s. Then model Marcia Callahan was asked by Ailes, at the time a producer on the Mike Douglas show, to come to his office wearing a garter belt and stockings. So I go into his office and right away he says, sit on the sofa and lift your skirt up. I had to do these different poses, and then I recall very clearly, he said he put me on the show, but I needed to go to bed with him. Now, apparently she didn't, but she was called in to do the show anyway. Suzanne, a former model, was also set to appear on the Mike Douglas show in 1967. She says Ailes locked her in a room with him. Quote, he proceeded to pull down his pants and very gingerly pulled out his genitals and said, kiss them. And they were red, like raw hamburger. Oh, God. Oh. Oh, that is a description that I did not need. I don't think anyone needed that description. Oh. She continues. He was pretty meticulously dressed, with long white shirt tails coming out. They note that this woman, Suzanne, was allegedly 16 at the time. Ugh. Jane, also a former model, met Ailes in his office for an audition in 1984. She said, he pulled out a garter belt and stockings and told me to put them on. I was very nervous. I didn't know what to do. He was standing there and I put them on. He wanted me to model them for him. After that, something sexual took place, but I blocked it out of my mind. I don't blame you, especially if things were red like raw hamburger. Ooh. I'm not going to be able to get that out of my head now. It's awful, awful. Now, Diana, a former model, met Ailes in the mid-60s while auditioning for the Mike Douglas show. He had a room, and one by one, he would take us behind closed doors. When my turn came, I went in, and he didn't waste any time. He grabbed me and had his hands on me and forced me to kiss him. When I recoiled, he said, well, you know, no girls get a job here unless they're cooperative. Now, there's one more. This is Pat, a recent communications graduate who was told by Ailes in 1975 that she'd have to have sex with him if she wanted to make it. I remember running out of that apartment like my hair was on fire and standing on the sidewalk crying, thinking, what's that guy think I was? A prostitute? Well, yeah, that's exactly what he thinks of all women. And it's reflected in Fox News' program, where conservatives on Fox say that they, when they say that they favor traditional gender roles, this is kind of what they mean. Hey, woman, shut up and have sex with me, and then I will elevate your career. It's kind of funny because Ailes probably sees this whole thing as a win-win. I elevate your career, and in return, you elevate something else. Gross. And look, I understand that these are all allegations, right? And they've got to be proven. And look, statute of limitations and all that. But this kind of shows, as I've said, what kind of person Ailes is when doing business. And so, let's be honest, I wouldn't be surprised to learn that any of this is true. I would not be surprised at all. He's a creep, a propagandist, and apparently, if these women are to be believed, a sexual harasser. So, not a good guy at all. Not a good guy.